Welcome to something short and sweet in the Parsha. This week, Parshas Balak, just days before Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. The principal and I had called down the mother of a boy who was absolutely out of control. When he was in the classroom, there was no class. The principal began delineating the problem. And I saw the mother. First, she turns solemn, then she turns white, and she began to turn red, beet red. And I realized that she was about to explode. So I stepped in. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, there's one thing that we need to tell you. We love your son." Everything changed. We went on to have a very constructive conversation. Reish Lakish was once traveling with Rebbe Avohu, two great Tanoim, and they came to the city of Caesarea, and they decided they had to stay overnight. And Rebbe Avohu said to Reish Lakish, "I don't want to go over in there. They are a bunch of mecharfim u'megadfim." That was the seat of the local Roman governance, and many Jews had assimilated in this city. And he didn't want to be part of it. Reish Lakish got off his donkey, went down to the ground, picked up a fistful of mud, and he stuffed it in the mouth of Rebbe Avohu. Rebbe Avohu spits it out, and he says, "What is this?" Reish Lakish says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like someone who speaks deltoria against Klal Yisrael, who speaks negatively against Klal Yisrael. Where did Reish Lakish learn this from? So earlier, the Medrash tells the story of Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu had said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he had said about Klal Yisrael, he says, "V'soch am tameis v'masayim anochi yoshev." I live amongst a group of people who are impure of speech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, "Excuse me, about yourself, when you said, Ki ish tameis v'asayim anochi, I'm a man of impure speech, that's okay. If you want to inspire yourself by saying such things, that's okay. But don't say that about my children." Where should Yeshayahu have learned that from? So again, the earlier Medrash says that the same thing happened with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu said to Klal Yisrael, by the incident of the well, "Shimuna Hamorim, you rebellious people, you listen to me." And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "You don't speak that way about my children. And because you speak that way, you will not go into Eretz Yisrael." The Medrash has Klal Yisrael saying, there was nobody that loved Klal Yisrael more than Moshe Rabbeinu. And yet, because of that, because of the way he spoke, he couldn't go in. The Vilna Gaon, in his commentary on Mishlei, on the Pasuk Al Talshein Eved Al Avodav, El Adonav, I should say. The Eved, even a Navi, says the Medrash, should not slander Klal Yisrael to the master. Says the Vilna Gaon, this is one of the Talumos, one of the hidden mysteries that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. Klal Yisrael in these times were sinners. They were kafuyei tov. They were involved, says the Gaon, in all sorts of sin and all the midos ra'os which lead to all sin. And yet, the Vilna Gaon says this is a pella that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should have been makbid about it. But he is. Klal Yisrael says, "Al tiruni kishani shchocharis." Don't see me when I am dirty. Don't look at my sin. And this is what Bilam appreciated in his nevuah, this week's parsha, in his nevuah about Klal Yisrael. He said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is lo hibit oven v'Yaakov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't see the sin of Yaakov. V'lo ra amo b'Yisrael. And again, he doesn't see the stains. He doesn't see the sin of Yisrael. Even when there is sin, and even when they do something that should impact the essence of the person, the essence of Klal Yisrael. No, Hashem Elokav imo. Still, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with Klal Yisrael. Usruas melech bo. And the love of the king. Rashi says, Usrua is reus, is lashon chiba. HaKadosh Baruch Hu still loves Klal Yisrael. And even though Moshe Rabbeinu, in essence, said nothing wrong, and Yeshayahu HaNavi said absolutely nothing wrong, and Rabbi Avohu, he was talking about apostates. He was talking about Minim. He was talking about the early Christians. He was talking about people who went over to the other side. And yet Rish Lakish says, no, you don't talk about Al Talshin Eved El Adonov. Don't speak about Klal Yisrael that way. Because a mother loves their child. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves Klal Yisrael. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at the sin. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at the outside. As a matter of fact, again, we find by the beautiful words of Bilam when he said, Ki merosh tsurim erenu, umigvaos ashurenu. What is this Ki merosh tsurim? From the head of the rock, umigvos, and from the hills? That refers to the avos and imohos, explains Rashi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the shirashim. He sees the roots. He sees that Klal Yisrael is chazokim yusadim. They have this strong foundation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Klal Yisrael. They may have most egregious sins. Their midos are nothing like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the roots. He sees the essence. As Klal Yisrael says in Shirashim, Shchura ani, I am so encrusted with dirt. I look horrible. V'nave, but I'm beautiful. That's the way the mother sees their child. And that's the way the mother expects even the Navi, who's looking to correct, who's looking for the betterment, who's looking only for the good, the Navi who is Mechavev. He expects, HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects, as the mother expects, the child to be viewed, Klal Yisrael to be viewed as beautiful. We stand just a few days in front of Shavasar B'Tammuz, and we begin the mourning period for the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And we need to understand that it's not about a temple. It's about the disintegration of our people. Chazal tell us that by the time the Babylonians and by the time the Romans came to that temple, it was an empty edifice, because the temple is only a manifestation and representation of where Klal Yisrael is at. And Klal Yisrael was in tatters. Klal Yisrael's in shambles. Perhaps, therefore, the first place to start when we begin our tikkunim and our avoda, our service of the 3 weeks, is to appreciate how HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciates Klal Yisrael. To look at another Jew, even though we might say they're shchora, we might say, look at them, look what they represent, look what they are. They're not with the program, they're not like us, but v'naveh, they're beautiful. They are the children of the Ribono Shel Olam. And if I know that they're the children of the Ribono Shel Olam, and the Ribono Shel Olam appreciates that I view them that way, perhaps we can begin to develop a different attitude and a different approach. And perhaps we can rebuild Klal Yisrael, and ultimately rebuild Be'ezus Hashem, the Beis Hamikdash. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great Shabbos.